gonna start actually, like if you have a yoga mat, or we're gonna start on all fours, like we've done in the past. So maybe lower your screen so we can see you, kind of like I'm doing. So we're just gonna get moving a little bit. So we've talked a lot about in the past, and we've done some standing versions of our pelvic tilting. So if you can see my waistband, it's gone forward, it's gone back. Now, most of the time, as we know, when we're playing, we don't realize what's happening, but your pelvis is doing that, whether you like it or not, right? So the better we can control it and understand what's going on, the better we're gonna swing the golf club. But number two, more importantly, I think, is we're gonna keep our backs healthy. So everyone go ahead and grab your mat or go on the floor where you're gonna go on hands and knees. And we're gonna start in what we would think is a yoga pose, but for a different reason. So we're gonna start by just going very basic. We call them cat camels. So hands under your shoulders and knees under your hips. And then we'll just very easily start going into extension and then round your back all the way. And try to flatten your back and then go the other way. So we call these cat camels. So go very slow, kind of feel, let's get the cobwebs out, see how that feels. And you're gonna dive into extended and then go back the other way. And drop it down and come back up. And drop it down and come back up. Just do about 10 or 12 of these. Get yourself moving a little bit. All right, now once you do that, so that's what we call end ranges. So you've explored as far as you can extend and as far as you can bend. Between the two of those, that's what we call that neutral spine. Neutral, anytime you're in neutral, whether it's lifting weights or whether it's swinging a golf club, the more you can stay in neutral, the more likely you are going to be able to stay healthy and not have a back problem. So now what we're going to do is we're going to do a drill where we're going to three-step process. We've done this in the past standing. We're going to flex our spine all the way, so round out. We're going to extend all the way, and then we're going to find the middle. And we're going to do it again. So let's do 5 of these. So flex all the way, extend all the way, and then find the middle. Try it again. Flex all the way, extend all the way, find the middle position. 2 more. Do it on your own. Now what this is, if this feels completely foreign to you, this is your neutral spine. This is the position that ideally, once we come up into our standing position, into our golf posture, this is where we want to start our swing from. And ideally, as we take our takeaway, and as we go through, the more we can stay there, the better off we are, right? So if this position feels very unnatural to you, then we might have some work to do. Now, I can tell you, again, just to kind of review, I start in my swing, start in neutral, and as I take my takeaway, I lose it. I go into that extended position. And that's why I think a lot of my trouble comes in. So this is the idea of extending all the way, finding an end range, flexing all the way, finding an end range, and then finding that middle position. And that middle position, your abs are going to be a little bit engaged, your spine's going to be a nice neutral position, and then we're going to be able to take that and hopefully move in rotation and move dynamically through. Now, go ahead and just check out my screen. So we're going to go back into neutral. So I'm going to extend, flex, find neutral. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to just push my hips back. I'm going to widen my feet a little bit. So from this angle, my feet are a little bit wider. And I'm going to start sitting backwards. So watch. So I find neutral, and I'm going to start sitting backwards. If you're not careful, this is what's going to happen. I'll exaggerate. You're going to find neutral, and then you're going to sit back. You're going to dive into an extended position. Or you're going to sit back, and you're going to round your back all the way. The idea now is you're going to find neutral, and I just want you to do a hip rock. So rock your hips back and forth. Keep that ab and spine engaged. Stay in that neutral position. And let's do 10 of these. So I do this all the time. I still have to be conscious of getting into a neutral position and staying there. So if you think about it, this actually is kind of like a squat, like a standing squat that you may have seen before. This is just on your knees. So your abs are working and you're sitting your hips back. Good, you guys look really good. and keep that neutral position. So if you're not feeling your abs engaged right now, then you're not working hard enough. Keep those abs engaged, find neutral, sit back. Greg, that looks great. Gary, go a little slower, a little more ab engagement. Roger, looks good. Dwight, looks good. Good. Drew, looks good. Perfect. Good. Now, from this position, we can even do another thing, right? We can mobilize our wrists. You know, we've talked about the worst, kind of one of the worst injuries in any sport, but specifically golf is wrist. Wrist is one of those things that once you injure that, it's hard to recover from. So from that quadruped position, from hands down, we're going to do some wrist stretches. So what it's going to look like is you're going to keep your arms under your shoulders, and then we're just going to move forward. So shoulders over your wrists. Go slow and come back through. So we know at impact at the ground, we should have some sort of wrist angles as we're going through. If you can't maintain some of those flexed extended positions and you get caught one time, we're going to hurt ourselves. So just start moving forward. Now, I can tell you specifically for myself, my left wrist doesn't feel as good as my right. When I go forward on my left side, like I feel a bit of a pinch in the front. On my right side, I don't really feel anything at all. So something to be conscious and aware of. And if this is really sore for you to do, it's not something that I would avoid. It's something that I would probably, you know, be conscious of, but maybe even do a little more of. Especially for us that sit at a computer a lot or have sat at a computer, some of that's forearm stretch that most of us have never really done. Good, so now let's combine the two, or combine all three. So let's check it out. So we're gonna find neutral spine, step one. We're gonna rock back, step two, staying neutral, and then we're gonna rock forward for wrist, step three. Let's do 10 total of that, but go nice and slow. Again, there's no speed. Speed doesn't help us here. You're gonna find neutral spine, you're gonna rock back, and then you're gonna lean forward, and then reset. And just do 10. If your wrists kind of if it's too much, take a break. I also, you know, hopefully we're past that part where we're going to get ice and snow, but, you know, in the winter at my practice, we'll see some slip and fall injuries in the wrist. And one of the things I always think about is, you know, how many of us ever actually stress our wrists at all to be able to withstand something like that? Almost nobody. So I like this drill just in general as a maintenance type thing, because again, most of us will feel, if you're really sore from doing some of this, it probably means that over time we should do a little bit more, that you'll probably lose it. All right, good. Everyone take a break. Shake it out. Shake that out. It's probably a little sore. All right, now. All right, now what we're going to do is, if you need a bigger pad underneath your knee, you can do that. But if not, you can go on your yoga mat. We're going to go in this half kneeling position. So we're going to go one knee up and one knee down. If you need to put another pad on your knee, you can. So from this position, we've done this in the past. If we tilt our hips forward, we go this way, and then we go all the way back, we still should find that neutral position. So forward, back, find neutral. Now in this neutral position, we should feel maybe a stretch in the front of our hip. And if we're pushing our knee down into the ground, you should be feeling that backside glute engage, right? So if your left knee is down, your left glute will be working. Just hang out there for a sec. Try to feel it. So as you're down there, I want you to feel like your knee is pushing into the ground and your front foot is pushing into the ground too. So you've created this stability. So I feel my hamstring working, I feel my glute working, and now I'm in this neutral position. Now from there, just look at the screen. I'm gonna put my arms out in front of me, and I'm gonna keep my belly button towards the screen, but I'm gonna try to rotate my logo. And back. And rotate my logo, and back. So up as tall as you can. I'm squeezing my hips and my glutes. My low back is staying square because my belly button is staying square. And then I'm rotating my torso around it. And you're going to rotate into the side of the leg that's up. Good. Now, as you guys know, Dwight, just try to get a little bit more taller. So lean back a little bit. There you go. Good. Now rotate. That's it. Good. Excellent. Good job. Now, what you guys can experiment with, some of you are and some of you aren't. There's no right way to do this. You'll probably be able to get a little bit more range of motion if you lead with your eyes. So if you look and twist, you'll get a little bit more motion than if you just look straight ahead and twist. So use your eyes and rotate through. And then let's switch sides. And I mentioned that to you guys because one of the drills that we're starting to see more and more of, it used to always be like when you swing, keep your head down. But in order to induce more rotation, you're actually seeing a lot of instructors now coach almost looking forward as they go, because we know that the eyes will lead the body. And since the ball isn't moving, it'll help to induce rotation. So half kneeling, other side, knees straight, arms straight out front. Logo rotates, belly button stays straight ahead. Now again, as you do more of this, I want you to start feeling even better. So as you rotate all the way and your left knee is down, feel like you're engaging that left glute. That's a nice stability position. And again, what this translates to is as you're rotating through your backswing or your downswing, in that rotation position, you actually feel like you're using your hips and your core a little bit, which for most of us is honestly a different sensation than we're used to, right? Actually creating stability with the glutes and rotating through the core. So let's do about 10. And then once we get to 10, we're going to go double kneeling. So both knees are going to go down. Now this one we've got to be careful because we're going to want to twist and rotate as much as we did before, and you're not going to be able to if you do it correctly. So now with both knees down, I want to feel like my butt cheeks are squeezing together. That's going to engage my glutes. I'm going to feel like someone's going to punch me in the stomach, so my core is engaged. And then from there, I'm just going to rotate a very little bit. Shouldn't be more than about a 45. So if you look at my screen, this is about all you guys should be getting. And then back to neutral. And then to here. If you're doing any more than that, there's a 100% chance you're using your lower back or you're rotating through your hips, which I don't want. I want you to rotate through your torso. So we're going to go 10 one way and then 10 another way. Go slow and controlled. And again, I'm going to talk you through it as you're doing it. Roger, go a little bit slower and don't let I want you to keep your hands right in the middle of your chest. So you're moving your arms and not your chest, but you're connected through your hands and your chest and they're staying together. Good. Arms, chest, and shoulders rotate together. Good, and when you get to 10, switch sides. What's interesting about this, as I'm thinking about it, actually, I was chatting with Keelan a couple weeks ago, and with his chipping, one of the cues that he'll give people is the middle of your chest and your hands kind of work together during chipping. So that's kind of that sensation as same thing as this kind of moves together as you chip. Most people kind of arms will just flail. But that idea that this and this stay connected. So in this position, it's very similar. Glutes are squeezed, abs are engaged, my arms and my torso twist together. Good, shake it out. Excellent. All right, now let's go. We're gonna go back to the ground. We're gonna go into what we call it. This is a nice little hip mobility series. So we're gonna go into what's called a 90-90 position. So this is not yoga. So in yoga position, it kind of be in pigeon. We're not doing pigeon. We're gonna do it's called 90-90. So my front leg is going to be straight ahead, and my back leg is also gonna be at a 90-90 position. Now from there, I want you to try to be upright. So what that means is that if your hands have to stay on the ground, that's totally okay. And so the middle of my logo, middle of my chest is right directly over the middle of my knee, which is bisecting the camera right now. Now from there, what I want you to feel is I want you to try and get as tall as you can. Get as tall as you can. Use your hands if you have to. Good. Now, what I want to happen is not this, because most of you guys are going to kind of slump forward and go forward. I don't want to see that. What I want to see is the middle of my chest is going to go straight towards the camera. So I'm going to move this way as opposed to this way. So stay tall, and I want you to just start working to move towards the camera. And what you should feel, if your right leg is forward, hopefully what you feel is a stretch in the back of your right hip. Now, if this is really easy for you to do, all you have to do to make it more challenging is take your knee and try to crush the carpet or the floor below you. That's going to force you to activate your glutes a little more than you're used to. And this is a slow drill. So this is keeping my spine neutral, and I'm rotating and I'm working through a stretch through my right hip. Try to get that knee on the ground if you can. Good, excellent. Greg, keep trying to take your right knee and crush your yoga mat. Yeah, there you go, good. Even that little bit of motion will get your hip working a little bit more. That's perfect. Good, now let's switch sides. Most likely what you'll feel, what I want you to start feeling is there a big difference from side to side? This is one of my favorite exercises for the hips, but it's also one of my favorite kind of assessments that you guys could do on your own. You guys can always kind of test, all right, is one side worse than the other, or do I have some work to do? So the middle of my chest over the middle of my knee, and start moving forward, 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 and come back. And middle of the chest over the middle of your knee. Good, and come back. So with a lot of my back pain and hip patients that we're working with right now virtually, this is one of the assessments that I'm using. Because if I see a big difference here, then we start to put a plan in place specifically for them to try and regain some of that mobility from side to side. So this is a great assessment and test to use. So keep going, push that knee down into the ground. Good. Okay, staying in that position, check it out. We're gonna do the opposite. So we're gonna stay in the same position. Now my hands are gonna work behind me. I'm gonna keep my spine neutral. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start to lean for me away from the camera. And what I'm gonna feel now is it shifts. Now it's going to start mobilizing and stretching the back of my hip. So just start leaning back nice and slow. What you should feel is a stretch on the front side of your back hip. For extra credit, what you can do, my back hip, I'm gonna squeeze this glute. So I'm gonna push that glute, squeeze it, and then I'm gonna lean back. So I'm squeezing my glute, not my low back, and then I'm leaning backwards. Do about 8 or 9 on each side, and then we're gonna switch sides. So now I'm getting confused. My right leg is forward for me, my left leg is back, and I'm going to start hands behind me, and I'm gonna do the other side. So I start working backwards. For me, I'm gonna squeeze that glute, squeeze my butt cheek, push my hip forward, and start to lean backwards. So if you can get into that position, good. Good. So believe it or not, this position here, if you're left, let's just say if you're a righty golfer and your left leg is back, this is the exact same thing as finishing your swing, squeezing your left butt cheek, and rotating through your hip. It's called, it's hip rotation and squeezing there, right? And it's the other way is feeling the squeeze on the other side. So I know it kind of doesn't seem like it would be similar, but it's actually very much the same thing. All right, we're gonna do one more thing today on your back. Here's what I want. You're gonna stay there, sorry, not on your back, on your butt. We're gonna do, and this one, anyone can do this. You just take it as much as you can. So we're gonna go hands behind you. You're gonna put your feet, heels, toes up, heels on the ground at about a 45-degree angle. And your hands are gonna be behind you. And what I want you to do is you're going to start working some mobility from side to side. So we do it rocking this way, keep our feet in the same place, and rocking this way. Really don't over rotate, because I don't want you to feel this in your lower back. So just really just moving from your hips and your pelvis, and just go slow. Just go slow. Greg, pull your heels a little bit closer to you so your knees are bent. That's it. Good. And then, yep, and then rotate. There you go. Good. Excellent. Good. And what I really want you guys to think about, it's subtle, but I don't want you torquing and twisting through your lower back. I want it just your hips as much as you can. I don't care if you can only move this much. That's okay. But really just think like it's hips. It's hips. If this is easy, just check it out. We're going to do more of a called a flow. So if this is easy, now we can rotate all the way through and get into our 90-90 position. And then we come back to neutral. And then we rotate to our other 90-90 position. And then we come back to neutral. And use your hands, it's fine. Keep your hands behind you. And just go slow into your 90-90 position. And rotate through into 90-90. Extra credit here as you get into your 90-90. If that's easy, take your hands away. Greg, go ahead and separate your knees a little bit, and as you rotate, let your chest go around so you can get back into that position. Good, good. And now move your left foot out a little bit. There you go. And now, perfect. Yep, exactly. Feel that? Good. Excellent. Good. And let your chest rotate too, Greg. Follow your knees. There you go. Good. Yep, much better. You got it. Good. Now, again, if you feel good with that and you're rotating, your chest is over, if you lift your arms up, that's great. Put them back on the ground and rotate through. If you can only lift one hand up, that's okay too. Lift one hand up. If you can't lift any, that's fine. Rotate your body through. Good. Last one here before Shannon takes over. For extra credit, no hands at all. Good. Perfect. All right, good job. Shannon, I'm good if you're good, or you, I can do a couple more minutes if you need.
Oh, that's cool. I know we lost Moro. He said he didn't have any sound, so that's why I was kind of looking down. I was feverishly trying to write to him. So I think he might have been having issues with his. Send you the link. He might have been having issues with his computer or his phone, whatever. All right, guys. So I'm going to take over on the speaker view. Hello, hopefully your hips are all feeling really good. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna kind of continue on from there a little bit, and we're gonna do a little bit of like inner thigh work, so some of that adductor work. So those are the muscles on the inner thigh. We're gonna do a little static stretch, we're gonna do a little hip flexor stretch, strengthening, and then we're gonna do a little lateral bound with a stick. And then, so I'm kind of working my way up from like the lower body. Then we're gonna go core planks, a little bit of push-ups, and some rows. So if you have weights handy, great. If you don't, totally okay. You can use your golf club, whatever you have. So first off, we'll work on the static stretch. So we're gonna go back down onto our all 4 points. So as I mentioned, I'm talking with Kirk Adams on Thursday. He is the head of fitness at Ben Shear Golf. And Kirk is a top 50 Golf Digest golf fitness instructor. He's been working with Justin and the Strive to Move team. And I thought since we're talking with him on Thursday. Maybe this week I'll make my strength portion about something that I learned from Kurt. So we're back here, and Justin just had you guys do some 90-90. So what I'm gonna do is we're gonna start off in this quadruped position. We're gonna stick one leg out. So we've done this in yoga, I believe we did this the other day. So kind of like a yoga position, right? We're gonna stick that one foot out, and my foot is gonna be sort of parallel to it'll be on the floor, is parallel to the floor. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna sit back. So I'm gonna try to drive my butt back to my heels, and I'm really stretching or opening up that inner thigh. I'm making some space in that hip crease, and I'm just gonna rock back and forth. For some of you, this may not be a big stretch. That's okay. For some of you, it may. So weak adductors can lead to limited rotation in your hips and your swing, and it can also lead to some low back pain. So we really want to work on giving some love to those inner and outer thighs to make sure that they are nice and strong as you return to golf. So
the other thing with groin is that's important is if any of you guys have had any hernia issues in the past, that's usually the groin muscles that are kind of yanking on your pelvis. So make sure that if you've had that you maintain this as well.
You guys don't have to spin around. I'm just doing this for the sake of the video. I'm going to switch legs. Again, my foot is going to be out. My foot will be in a flex position on the floor. And again, I'm just going to rock back. So use your mat or your pillow, whatever is most comfortable, but I'm getting an inner thigh. Now, just as a disclaimer here, because I know that I've got some tight hips and I've got tight IT bands. I ran 5 miles yesterday. I've got a little twinge in the right side of my knee on the outer side. That's okay. I know that it's just IT band. If any of you are feeling any of that pain and it's really uncomfortable, go ahead and pause or stop there. But for me, I just want you to know that it happens, it's natural, I'm working through it. And not to like freak out and worry. All right, cool. So just getting some nice, so if you're gonna kind of put this in your program, this would be like 5 or 6 sort of reps, if you will, sort of that back and forward, and then maybe do this 2 to 3 sets. So what we'll do is we'll work through these first 3, we'll go back and return to them. So what I'm gonna have you do now is get on your back. So we're gonna lay down on the back, and if anybody doesn't feel comfortable, has any vertigo, you can also do this standing. So I will be on the back for this one. Now you can use a band. If you have a band, you can put the band around your feet, but you don't need this. We've done this in the gym with Justin, just standing, right? So you're gonna start out here. I'm just gonna pick my head up. You can lay your head down, you can totally relax. But what you wanna do is push out really far with one leg and hold the other one in nice and tight. You know, if you need to kind of give a little love to that knee and just kind of bring it in a little bit, do that. But I want you to push away. So essentially we're pushing away with the right and pushing in with the left knee. And if you had a band, there would be tons of resistance there, right? So a good deep breath here, bring it back in, and then switch sides. And again, so I'm driving towards my body with my right knee and out with my left foot. So we're really getting some of that strength in those hip flexors. So let's go 2 more on either side. Push away with that right foot, pulling in with the left knee. And then we're gonna switch. Again, if you don't wanna hold on and you can control that, that would be great. Relax the head and shoulders on the floor just because I can't see you guys on the screen. Good. I'll switch one more time. Let's go 4, I think, here on either side. There we go. Awesome. So give yourself a nice little hug there. Sort of make almost like little circles, the knees and the hips, and just go each direction. Sometimes those hip flexors can be really tight. Cool. So come on up. So a little supine hip flexor strengthener really good for lengthening and stretching. Again, creating better rotation and helping to reduce low back pain. So our last one in this sort of little thigh, inner thigh, outer thigh circuit is going to be a little lateral hop with a stick. So this is great for, again, control, stability. So it doesn't have to be real, this isn't going to be cardio or anything. It's just hop and stick as much as you can. So hop and stick, but we're going laterally, right? So you want to work and try to control that move. Doesn't have to be a big hop or a jump, but control and stick. And so you want to get about 6 to either side. So obviously when you're landing, I'm hoping what you're finding is that you are contracting your glutes, contracting your thighs, contracting your hamstrings, driving your feet into the floor. I'm sort of webbing out my feet, if you will, to try and land and have more surface tension with my toes all the way out. So it's also really great, again, for balance because we're trying to stick the landing. Woo-hoo! This is not going to be perfect. This is something you definitely want to work on. But as we sort of recoil and sort of load to explode, again, those inner thighs and outer thighs are doing a lot of that work. Let's get 2 more on either side here. I'm just going to go back. Cool. All right, we're going to run through those 3 one more time. So we're going to start out back under our mat, and we're going to hit our little 4-point drill with our inner thigh stretch. So we'll just get 5 on either side. You want a big, deep breath. So Kirk recommends doing things with breaths, obviously getting really good like core stability and strength, but breathing is so important. So as we go back, we want to inhale and then exhale.
And if you guys can't get on the ground or don't want to kneel, you can just actually stand and put your leg up on a chair or something and do actually the same thing. So chair or something here, I'm doing the exact same exercise. Put it on a step stool, put it out to the side.
Yep, so just get 6 rocking and make sure you're breathing.
Good. Yeah, so and if you have a balance, if it's a problem with the balance, then just hold your golf club.
And then we'll switch sides when you've gotten your 6 and hit 6 on the other side too.
Good, yeah. I see 2 guys doing standing, and you can do even that. I like that too. So you just kind of get yourself in a bit of like a side lunge position and just kind of sit back. Just sit back. Good, and then you can switch. And sit back. Good. Yeah. Perfect. Yep. There's a variation for everyone. It's awesome.
And again, I'm trying to keep neutral spine here, so I'm not really trying to round my back or arch it at all. I'm just keep it neutral spine as I go through this movement, especially if you're standing too. Awesome. All right, so when you finish those, grab a little sip of water quick, and then let's head to the mat on our back. And again, if you're standing, you can do this one standing. So that would basically just be if you have like a golf club, you want to hold on to something, you bring that knee up real high. You can hold it or not, but hold it at least for a good breath or so, and then release.
Yeah, so if you guys, I'll do the standing variation. So if you can just follow along with me if you don't want to get on the ground or can't.
Yep. So we're on our back, knees are up, and we're going to push away with one leg and hold in with the other. So remember early on how Justin wanted us to lift the knee as high as we could, hold it, and then release it. So kind of the same thing, right? So we're pushing away. But again, if you had a band, there'd be more resistance here. So this is just without resistance. We're creating our own resistance. Feeling this right in the hip crease. Hopefully that's where you're feeling it too. I'm gonna get one more on either side. But I'm pulling with this knee. I'm driving with that left foot. Awesome. Shake it out. Give me some little circles with those knees. Give yourself a little love. Nice, Roger. Good job. Roger, knock me down. I'm still waiting on those 100 push-ups.
Yeah. Yeah, I got to challenge you to another one.
Uh-oh. All right, lateral.
Why is Roger unmuted? Mute him. I don't want to keep looking at him.
I think I heard him breathing. I'm muting you, Roger.
Okay.
All right, we're gonna do our lateral hops. We'll go 6 either side. Here we go. We want to stick it. Try and make it better than the last one.
You guys can't hop, just watch me.
So yeah, so it looks like Justin is kind of doing a single leg, sort of almost like balance, little push off as well. I'm gonna get one more to either side here. Awesome, and then when you're finished there, again, take a little rest. We're gonna transition now into a little more of like core and then upper body. So we're kind of going up the kinetic chain. All right, so we're gonna start out, so again, working on more control and lateral movement in our swing. So core stability, upper body strength, right? So we're gonna start out with just a basic plank, not real long, not gonna have you hold it for 30 seconds or anything, but we want to get into sort of that push-up position. Now, if you're standing, grab a chair, grab a counter, grab something that works for you too. This is basically your plank, right? You can do this against the wall. Arms are fully extended, back is nice and supported. You're in a flat board plank, right? So you can do that standing, or you can come down onto the mat with me. And let's just hit a nice high plank. Let's get 5 breaths here. I've got 3. So my hands are underneath my shoulders and my eyes are looking out of my fingertips. We're gonna rest there, drop it into child's pose, just stretch that back real quick. So the reason I went with the front plank is because we are gonna transition into a side plank. So again, great for that lateral control, right? So we're gonna go side plank. So elbow is gonna be 90 degrees. So again, now if you want to do side plank, you can put side, same kind of thing, right? So I'm lateral here and I'm working shoulder over elbow and I'm just kind of leaning laterally. Now I'm gonna go down onto the mat. Justin, I don't know if you wanna try to do that.
Yeah. Another thing, you can do it there, or I mean, even if you, it's gonna be hard for me to show, but you could literally do it against the wall.
Against the wall, sure.
So
Yeah, against the wall, against anything.
there, but you'll feel shoulder and core. So you can do it against the wall as well in a side plank. So a couple variations. You're on the ground with Shannon, 1. Number 2, if you're at a desk or at a couch.
Right, shoulder over elbow, side full plank. You want to jack it up a little bit. You can go arms up, legs up, or single arm. Now, if that's too much, you guys are like, God, you're crazy. Drop that one knee back. I've got my knee bent 90 degrees, and I'm in a modified plank. Now, we've done this in yoga, right, where Jess and Megan both do these positions with us. And again, you can still raise. We're still working on side control, lateral stability here for our core and upper body. You want to hold these guys for like 5 to 10 breaths. Let's just get 3, 2, and 1. Let's switch sides and go to the other side. So whatever level you want to be at, whether it's standing, whether it's against the wall, whether you want to be up off the, up off the ground with the hips. Let's get 5 breaths here. I'll raise my hand, I'm gonna leave my legs together. Make sure that your shoulders stack right over that elbow. Good. You may be a little shaky, so that is also great for like shoulder and scapula stability. And again, great control for lateral movement in your swing. So we went from the side, the plank to the side plank. Now we're going into the push-up progression. So again, going into more upper body core and strength. So with your push-up, again, you can do this against the wall, kind of like countertop here, right? So push up, just in more of a standing position. Body is nice and flat, which we just learned in the plank, right? We want to control the upper body, and basically we just want to lower ourselves with our arms. It's a moving plank, right? So if you want to do knee push-ups, that's okay too. Actually, I'll go this way. And so I'm on my knees, I'm in my sort of plank position. I'm just going to drop my knees, and then all I'm going to do is drop my upper body. So I'm trying to keep my upper body nice and flat and lower everything as one unit. Now, if this is too hard for you, a couple of other modifications. So you want to lower yourself down. Lower down, pick your hands up, put them down, curl the toes, and then push the body all the way up. For me, that is a little bit of an easier push-up than a full all the way down and then all the way up. So I lower down, I pick my hands up, I put them down, curl my toes, and then push myself up. So whichever way you've been doing it, try to at least get a good 5 breaths and or 30 seconds, kind of work your way up. So whatever works for you. I'm just gonna get 5 more right here in a little knee push-up. My body's nice and straight. My head, my gaze is out forward in front of my fingertips. And I'm breathing. So it's really just, again, that retraction, scapular retraction and protraction. So that's your, your moving plank. So push-ups. So yeah, you can do, again, the lowering of the push-up, bring the hands up. So there's just a couple of ways, but that's all gonna help strengthen. I've realized over the last few months, and especially this time while being home, I've done a lot of push-ups and definitely my upper body's getting stronger. I mean, you're all guys, you all get it, you all know. All right, so we're gonna go into some rows. Now, if you don't have any weights handy, that is okay. If you happen to have a golf club or anything, Greg, if you've got a book on that shelf there, that bookshelf, I don't know, if you've got whatever you have, grab. Yep, your golf club is totally fine. So we're gonna do single arm movement. So here I would start with like a dumbbell, right? Or you can start with your golf club, and mine's super light, but that's okay. So we're gonna be in a split stance because that is also gonna help with like a rotary core challenge, right? So arms are totally, our back is nice and flat, so I'm in neutral spine. I'm in that split stance because it's also a little bit more, obviously, again, that core challenge. And I'm just gonna drive that wrist or my hand, my wrist up to the side of my body, right up to my ribs. And I'm just gonna lower. So I like to do this with one arm because it is a little bit of a progression from 2 single arm stuff. So you're working balance on the opposite side. You've got a kettlebell, again, a milk jug, a water jug, whatever you might have at home. So make those movements slow, nice and slow, and hold at the top for at least a good second or 2.
Even if you guys have no weight or golf club, one of the things to think about, we've talked about in the past about kind of when we did those isometric exercises, if you just think about pulling your arm through like mud or something, you'll naturally contract the muscles a little bit more. So even if it's too light, just literally just think like, all right, I'm pulling through mud or sand, and all the muscles will contract. So make a fist, squeeze hard, use these muscles and pull. You know, you don't need necessarily heavy weight to contract the muscles.
Yep. You can use bands, you can use a towel, and it doesn't even have to be, so like, okay, here's my sweatshirt, right? I'm just going to start off, my foot will be on my sweatshirt, and I'm just gonna try to pull back as much as I can, and if that's the only movement that I get, but I'm driving my elbow and I'm retracting right through my scapula, through my lats, that's all I've got. So I'm gonna protract, and I'm gonna retract. So just, yeah, like Justin said, be as creative as you can be. Obviously in these times, not everybody has dumbbells, so don't try to order them online from Dick's because they're all sold out. And then obviously with your weights. But the biggest thing again is to remember, shoulders are long, they're not up in your ears. We're not here, right? Nice and long, single arm row, switch sides. And you wanna get 15 reps per side.
Gary, sit your hips back more. So like kind of hinge your butt back. Yeah, so your chest comes down. Yep, there you go. Good. Just as long as your back is flat. And now pull, think about pulling into your pocket, hip pockets almost. So your elbow goes back. Yeah, there you go. That's it. Good. Yep.
It looks like Roger Rakagala looks pretty good from what I can see.
Yeah, Roger's doing good. Greg's doing good. Drew's doing good.
Nice.
Yep.
So yeah, I mean, obviously, you know, we do sort of rows all the time. They're so great. You can do, so one of the basic videos I had watched earlier when we first started to quarantine was, you know, basically somebody with a towel. So here I've got the arms of my sweatshirt, and I'm just going to sit back in the row. So this is another seated, this is a seated row. So see, I'm protracting, and now I'm retracting. I'm driving those arms back. And this is just another thing that's kind of fun. Greg, maybe you could even do this with little Lala with your little granddaughter. Come on, baby, let's do some rows. I know I'm getting a little crazy there, but sometimes it's kind of fun to do exercises with the little ones that are nice and easy, right? So just really want to feel, again, that great scapular retraction. Definitely just want to feel those back muscles tighten up and fatigue a little bit. So let's run through one more time. We'll do the plank, the side plank, the push-ups, and the rows. My trusty assistant here needs to get off my mat.
All right, so for your plank, if you're on the ground, do that. If you're standing, you can do it against your desk. So literally, I'm on the desk right now, and I'm doing it right in front of you. You could do it on the couch.
So let's hold for a good 5 breaths on either side. Nice, slow breaths, right?
Side planks, same thing.
Good. Once you hit your 5, switch sides. And then we're done with that. We want to come back to the main plank. I want to do a little core challenge there with some shoulder taps. Good job, Greg. I see ya. Awesome. Make sure, again, that your form is good, that your elbows are stacked underneath your shoulders. And then we want to come back to our plank. Now you can do, again, you can do this standing. You can do this on the floor. I kind of like to do, so it's sort of like a star, right? My feet are about shoulder width apart. My hands are down in that shoulder stack position. And I'm going to do some really nice and easy, slow and controlled shoulder taps. We got 5 on either side. So give that a shot if you can, if your shoulder stability is all right.
You can do these at your desk. You could do it on the couch, same thing.
Yep.
Just in front, crossing your arms.
And you want to keep that control of rocking. I don't want to see people rocking back and forth. The whole point is to try to keep the body nice and quiet and tight and as as stable as possible. So then that takes us right into our push-up progression, right? So I'm gonna do those 5 that I talked about. So I'm gonna do the 5 lower, bring my hands up, and then push my body up. So again, you can do them on your knees, just regulars. You can do them standing, leaning on the door, whatever works for you. So I'm gonna lower myself down, take my hands up, put them down, and exhale up. So give me a little quick child pose or a little cat-cow. Just shake that back out. A little side to side. Oh, and if you haven't been to one of our yoga classes, I highly recommend stopping in. All right, and then our last one we're gonna do when you guys are ready, we're gonna hit those rows. So again, that will be, if you did have your golf club and you wanted to do, you could do a bent. So you could do bent, so my arms are coming back close to my side, almost like sort of that funky chicken dance, right? I've got long shoulders. So they're not up here, my shoulders are down.
Hey, Roger, just Nakagawa, switch. If you're gonna right arm, if you're using your right arm, put your right leg back. If you're using your left arm, left leg back. There you go. That's it.
So that iso hold and squeeze at the top, that should give you a really nice little burn in the scapula. And again, if you're in that split stance, that's sort of an anti-rotation.
Good.
And we're working sort of that glute stability, like Justin talked about earlier with some neutral spine, trying to find that.
Dwight, go a little bit slower, grip it hard, and really try to think about like pulling through something really heavy, because I know that weight's a little light. There you go. And squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. Yeah, attaboy. Good. Much better. Same thing with you, Greg. There you go. Good.
What about you guys? I got a little sweat on. So yeah, you don't need a whole lot of weight. You can really, I mean, my back is really like feeling nice and fatigued.
I never even thought of that, Shannon, but I have a towel here and just literally just kind of.
Yeah. And then if you just try to give it a little bit of a row with those elbows, yeah, I mean, it's like, it's just a seated row, right?
If I bend here, I just can go back a little bit more. But I can feel that.
Contracting and retracting, absolutely. I mean, yeah, really get creative. So yeah, what does Roger have there? Maybe like a little, he's got bands.
Wow, fancy. Roger's fancy.
Fancy.